What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the January 27th edition of LvLUp Live, your home for gaming and esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco. You can call me John because we are all friends here at LvLUp Live, and I am joined, as always, by my good friend, the king of the courtside king. You can call him Joey. What's up, buddy?
John, I'm doing all right. I don't know about you, but this has been the most Monday-feeling Thursday of my life. I felt like it was a very long day. I had so much to get done. I've been literally looking at a computer since 6 a.m. I had like a 30, 45-minute break all day. So it's been a long one, but I'm excited. We do have a guest again, which we're going to tease here shortly for an interview. But on top of that, there's been a lot happening in gaming and esports. I'm ready to get into it here shortly.
The most Monday-feeling Thursday might be the best way to describe how today has felt. You have had the honor of dealing with everything I had at my work going on again, especially with our little visit that we had today, which was very unexpected. We won't talk about that. That's for another podcast that OTN does not have. But anywho, Nation, welcome and thank you as always for tuning in to LvLUp Live. Before we get started, a little bit of homework. If you're not doing so already, I'm not going to call you out or anything. You can go ahead and do it now. I'll look after the show. But you should be following the show on social media. That is Twitter. That is Facebook. That is at LvLUp Live. That is at LvLUp Live. And while you're on Twitter, he's got all the hot takes. He's got all the inside information. He is the biggest unpaid sponsor for the Xbox Game Pass. You need to be following Joey at Courtside King. And then for all the snarky remarks of the person who jumped ship from Sony and joined Team Xbox, follow me at Fiasco. You're watching here live on Twitch. Again, thank you so much for watching the live show. You can catch those handles right below the mugshots you're currently staring at. If you listen to the podcast version, down the road as well, they'll be in the show notes for you below. So go ahead and give the show and your hosts a follow. And Nation, as always, the live show is the best place to catch a show, but we understand you all have lives. Maybe you got something else going on a Thursday night. We're not going to be offended. Just as long as you listen to the podcast version, everything will be okay. Okay? So the podcast version is available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and pretty much anywhere else you can find an RSS feed for podcasts. You just look up LvLUp Podcast, and we are there for you. And also, for super fans out there, for people who don't just want to be a subscriber, who don't just want to be someone in chat who hangs out on Discord, patreon.com/OTN. Check it out. Become a super fan. Become one of our favorite people. We're lying. Everyone's our favorite people. It's completely cool. Do it. Don't do it. Doesn't hurt our feelings, but we'd appreciate you taking a look at it. All right, Joey, I am ready for the weekend. I don't know about you. Well, you're going out of town, so I know you're excited. But before that, we have topics to discuss today. Joey, what are we talking about today on the last episode ever in the month of January for 2022?
Absolutely. We have a stellar interview at the top of the show, which we'll introduce in just a moment. And then after that interview, he'll be sticking around and joining us for a couple topics. We're talking Microsoft's Q2 earnings report and what it means for gaming in general. We're looking at a breakdown of a few different things. The Activision-Blizzard update we talked about last week, we have some new details on that in Call of Duty. So we'll be breaking that down along with a new IP in the works at Blizzard. We're talking about The Rock making another appearance in a video game-based movie. We're talking speculation of Apple building a gaming console and much more.
Absolutely fantastic topics, a fantastic guest. But Joe, before we can even get to our guest here in the next few moments, of course, we have to do the last part of the intro. And of course, it's the time-honored tradition that's been passed down from generation to generation, all the way from episode 1 to episode 267, according to our notes here. Joey, it is time for the drink of choice. We have been slacking. I feel like we're going to be slacking again today, but I'm going to go ahead and ask the question anyway. Joey, what is your beverage for tonight's show?
Yeah, nothing super exciting because I feel like our interview guest is going to carry plenty of excitement on and of himself, but I do have a blueberry lemonade sparkling water from Trader Joe's here. Changing things up, going a little bit bubbly. So not flat water, but nothing too crazy either.
Okay, you say it's not fancy. That's some pretty fancy water there, sir. I don't want to hear about that. I guess you can call it fancy water also. I'm doing a repeat of last week because it was on sale, so I stocked up. It's the Mountain Dew Spark flavor. So it is bubbly. It is technically water, but definitely not as nutritious as yours, Joey. Tastes like bad decisions. All right, Joey, let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of today's show. Of course, we are joined once again with an amazing interview here on LvLUp Live. LvLUp Nation, you are in for a treat today. We are going to be joined by not only the founder, not only the CEO, not only the editor-in-chief, but also a good friend of the show, is our good friend, the remix of the Lunchbox Publications. Let's go ahead and bring Greg. Greg, first off, it is a Thursday night, and you had nothing else better to do than join us here on a podcast. Like, I mean, we appreciate it.
You invited me. Hold on. I got like a message from Joey. I was like, "Would you like to join? Why not?" And it's an honor to be here, actually. And of course, I'll make time for you guys. I mean, hey, when's the next time I'm going to be part of OTN Media Live's LvLUp podcast? So come on,
what are you doing next week? I mean, we haven't booked anyone.
Well, hold up.
No, of course, Greg. Always, it's for people outside of the OTN community who may not know Greg. Greg, awesome part of the OTN community as well. You can find him on our Discord. He is one of our teammates in our fire squad for when we play Halo Infinite. If you follow him on social media, which you should on Twitter at the Remix, you can if you're watching here live on stream as well. All of the information there is right below his webcam as well. He posts some of the best clips from our Halo games, including my random Mickey Mouse impersonations that makes him just crack up like mid firefight. It's fantastic. But yeah, it's always great, Greg. And again, thank you so much for joining us here today. First, for those who may not know you, which first off, shame on you for not knowing Greg. Give us a little bit of a background of who you are and what exactly you do for the Lunchbox Publications and kind of what you guys do in that sphere.
Sure. Well, first and foremost, the Lunchbox Publications is a multimedia entertainment and pop culture website. We cover entertainment topics such as video games, of course, movies, television shows, comic books, and pop culture events around in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, and of course around the United States and around the world. We were founded in 2013, and literally the day after the very first Awesome Con, which is another comic book convention we have here in the DMV area, and yeah, I am the founder, CEO, and editor-in-chief, as what you say. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And Greg, like you said, you guys have been putting out some great content over the years. 2013, I mean, for full disclosure, OTN, I mean, really the multimedia side of it, Joey, correct me if I'm wrong, was like 2015, 2016. I know the founding was a little bit earlier than that. But yeah, you know, again, like putting out amazing content there as well. So we're going to dive a little bit into what you do, not just with the Lunchbox Publications, but kind of your current status. Like right now, like one of the big things you're focusing on is streaming, and that is a big part of the gaming universe right now. Obviously, we all know Twitch, YouTube gaming, rest in peace Mixer, you know, because, you know, Microsoft, I'm not going to say that because Joey's going to get offended, but streaming is a big thing for gamers out there who kind of want to get their footing in that entertainment space, in that streaming space, and kind of grow kind of a community. Talk to me a little bit about your decision to enter that space, and you know what the future holds for you.
Oh, I'm gonna start with a little bit of a sad note. Sadly, I was one of the people who got hit with the pandemic, of course, and I got cut from my job. And next to becoming a full-time student, I definitely want to continue off with and of course writing. I definitely want to continue my streaming and broadcasting career and give a chance for myself to grow my branding. So I started off as a variety streamer, playing different types of games and such. I did play Call of Duty, I did play Phasmophobia, and of course Destiny, which I still do. However, I decided to transition once Halo Infinite came out to becoming full-time Halo streamer and full-time Halo content creator for the Remix brand. And with that case involved, it gave me a chance to also focus on my health, both physical and mental, and how should I say, learn more in the aspects, like, how should I say, what's the term? Like, make connections, of course, and learn learn various algorithms, because there's a lot involved in that, of course, as well. Because gaming as a whole, especially you would like to share your experiences, like especially my experiences, to the world. Like, hey, look what I can do. Hey, look at look at my reactions and check me out, give me a chance and such. If that answers your question. But for the future, especially as for gaming, there's no way back before even the 360 and PlayStation 3 were out, that was like 2005 and 2006, did we get this far, when it comes to sharing experiences and stuff, because we all had to do the old school way, especially before YouTube, where you need to record your gaming footage through DVDs and oh my goodness, maybe there are boomers out there who don't know the term VCRs and stuff. And and the best way to communicate and definitely get your name out there, especially when it comes to creating content back in the day, was having people come over to your house or going to various tournaments. And if you can look at the esports scene, it has grown incredibly huge. So now people can watch anybody in different perspectives and point of views now, especially with streaming, and it's getting better when it comes to communicating at the same time, making other types of content and stuff to reach out to other viewers, and especially being an inspiration themselves. I mean, I would love to have the younger generation check me out and say like, hey, I can definitely do this. I mean, it's gaming related. I can take my talents and hobbies and make content out of it, and who knows, I might get recognized not just by pro gamers but also other entertainment sources, like for example LvLUp or IGN or any other outlets out there. So that's also Lunchbox Publications.
Yeah, absolutely. And I apologize to all of our Zoomers out there, our Gen Z listeners. A VCR is think of it as like a massive audio cassette tape that shows pictures on a television. I know you may not be familiar with that, so just want to clarify what a VCR is and a tape. The VCR is the actual player. Be kind, rewind. That's a phrase no one uses anymore. But real quick, before I pass it off to Joey here real quick, obviously diving into streaming is incredibly difficult for some people because it's a very saturated market. You've had some great success building your brand, building the Lunchbox Publications through great marketing, through great content. That marketing aspect of it, how important was that to really strive through those hard times where maybe you were only getting 1 or 2 viewers? What did you find worked well for you when it came to marketing your brand?
Well, first and foremost, I definitely want to tell the entire world out there, work with what you have first. If you can't afford it, if you can, like, for example, there are a lot of streamers and uprising players out there who want to put their content out there. However, they don't have the funding and stuff, but they only have, let's say, for example, the PlayStation 3 or the original not PlayStation 3, forgive me, the PlayStation 4 and the original Xbox One, because we were introduced with the ability for consoles to actually stream out of their consoles before people rock with the PCs. And yes, folks, before it was called Twitch, it was definitely called Justin TV. So, people were streaming out of the old PCs and stuff like that. But again, work with what you have, because fun fact, Jon and Joey, because like a lot of people like stress themselves up, like thinking like, oh, I need to get how should I say, a $1,000+ PC machine. Oh, I need to get like nano lights behind me and stuff like that to have my background great and clean. Hold fast. Don't stress yourself out on that. Again, work with what you have, because another fun fact, myself and the Lunchbox Publications, we achieved our affiliation status. It's a special status for Twitch viewers to and for Twitch users to get emotes, and of course accepting donations and subscriptions. We got it with just streaming through out of a console, and from there, that's when we build ourselves up. And a lot of people got their own PCs. I got my own computers and stuff, and that's where we got so far for now. So again, number 1, work with what you have, and slowly and steadily update yourself and upgrade yourself to the latest technology. Number 2, connections. That's the number 1 thing people forget, because social media helps for both my company and for myself. And you can ask Jon and Joey themselves, guys, because that's how you make connections. That's how you talk to other developers, other streamers, and at the same time, let the people know who you are. As what Jon said, I do post my clips and stuff about hilarious moments. Of course, the infamous Mickey from Jon. And at the same time, for my company and for Matt, we miss you, man. Noki-sam, he did his best to let the people know, like, new articles are up, new stream is coming soon and stuff. Joey does the same thing for OTN Media and such, and we had that back and forth banter. Whoever made that social media post saying, "That guy looks strangely familiar. Who you're interviewing tonight?" I'm like, okay, y'all are funny. So again, social media and making connections through any other platform, not just Twitch, but also Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, to name some social media platforms, is a big must in order for you to how should I say, make connections and at the same time put your talent and content out there. My next thing to also say, John, I can't stress this enough. Join other communities, especially since Discord has the ability to join other communities and you get the chance to talk to other people, and they can offer you like either tips, advice, or they can actually become followers for your brand as well. I mean, I just joined the Halo Discord and stuff, and not only I talk about the Halo esports scene, but I also talk to them about like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? Hey, hey, check out Shyway's video. Shout out to Shyway. Anyway, and all that stuff. And at the same time, like, the more you communicate and more you build, and be part of other people's communities, the better chances you have to grow other communities. At the same time, connect with others as well. So that's how it is. It's a very difficult platform for some. You cannot get it in just one night and 1 year. I've learned the hard way. I'll admit that, and some things happened. However, I learn from my mistakes. I take it, and then I improve from there. And it's been a ride for both myself and the Lunchbox Publications. Like, it just brings me shivers, especially since you both know we started the infamous Invitational event, and we teamed up with Game Jim's very own Josh for that, and Icy for help for the Super Smash tournament. We had a good friend of mine, Ellie Face, who's a cooking streamer and a gamer herself, team up with us and stuff like that in Mario Kart. And the very first invitational event, which we have our very own OG Flavor Towns, Eric, he had a blast in that as well, because we like to bring in different personalities so they can connect with each other at the same time. Hey, help them give a boost to their streaming content career as well. So again, those are my 3 tips and stuff, especially to push people to get better. Also, my last tip: practice communication, both in game and in real life, because you want to be able to talk. I know there'll be a few bugs and issues saying and stuff like that. Hey, it doesn't matter. Do your best to at the same time have a clear voice and how should I say, what's that term, Jon and Joey? Like, speak properly, especially when playing teamwork games like Capture the Flag Ranked on Aquarius. You guys know. So yeah. But that's my tips and takes. I mean, I hope that answers your question as well, John, because I'm like, oh man, I'm already giving tips off the bat already, and I don't know what else to add on, add on and such, because like it just happens so fast. Like I keep forgetting like the success we've made so far, but obviously I'm not gonna stop. But what me and my company achieved, we're gonna keep on going and going, and I cannot wait to see what's next. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you gave some great tips as well, Greg. I mean, that's how we met, the whole networking and getting involved in each other's communities.
Yeah.
Jon and I joining the Lunchbox Publications, OTN, OG Flavortown, Eric in chat over there also was the one who kind of brought us all together as well on a different level. So it's been nice getting to know you better on like in our respective areas and in gaming in general, but also outside of that too. So I think that goes very far. The other thing you mentioned, Greg, it was the console gaming and streaming directly from consoles. And that is one of those newer things. And I think a lot of people don't notice it with so many console gamers out there, with stuff like Call of Duty being the biggest game on both, really 2 of the 3 major platforms when it comes to console gaming. And there's just so much accessibility as far as just jumping into the streaming world nowadays. And I think a lot of people get discouraged, like you were mentioning, having those low numbers up front, or also thinking they need to have the highest quality mics or really nice cameras or lighting or everything like that up front, when really it's just find a way to get out there and start building an audience. And the consoles make that so much easier to do today.
Again, me and my company, we're working with what we have out of our pockets, what we can afford. We don't have, some of us don't have PCs, some of us don't have art tablets, some of us don't even have any, how should I say, the latest consoles. I mean, I think if I I'm not ashamed to say this. I'm the only person rocking the PlayStation 5 at the moment. However, all my other coworkers who are also my friends, they're rocking PlayStation 4s or Xbox Ones, and I told them like, don't be discouraged. We want to offer the community and offer everyone around the world what we can afford and what we can show you guys. Because again, folks, don't rush yourself to get like affiliation or even partner even after you get affiliated and stuff. Take your time and just keep going, and the grind is real. Like I promise you, it can be frustrating, but it doesn't. But also, and I think it's also important to remember, John and Joey, you got to take a break for yourself. Like, hey, take it easy and take a deep breath, and then once you're ready to go back, the world will be waiting for you, and your supporters will be there. Whoever's still with you till the end, you already know you know who your following is and who your community is, and I promise you that, folks. It's a huge blessing. Hmm.
Absolutely. And I love all these tips, Greg, and I'm sure you'll have more as we go throughout the rest of the interview. But jumping back a little bit into your streaming career as a professional, what was one of the thoughts that went behind your mind in switching over to Halo as your main game? There are a number of streamers out there that play a main game. There are a number of other ones that kind of approach it more of as a variety game type of stream. What were your thoughts going into just making Halo that main game when it did launch in December?
To be honest with you, wait, I thought it was November actually. Well, yeah, December for the full release.
The
'Cause
beta was
campaign.
November, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, because I was thinking about November. But you're right about the December release because that's when the full campaign came out. So as I started a year and 4 months ago exactly, I actually wanted to focus. I went full on variety, just playing different games and doing the best I can to keep up with the schedule and stuff. Like Mondays are RPGs, Tuesdays are how should I say, first person shooters, Wednesday co-op days, Thursday stuff for the Lunchbox Publications, and Fridays early stream before the weekend starts. Have a set schedule. That's another tip, guys. So my main focus was how should I say, excuse me, it had to be like trying to find like the next big thing and something I was really comfortable with, because I don't want to say, I mean, after so many years playing Call of Duty, which was my main game every single year, because me and my friends would play, how should I say, like team deathmatch, of course, kill confirmed modes and stuff, and it was a fun thing to share because I would have my moments, epic moments. Oh man, you got lit up, all the yes, the trash talk, it's true, and that would be my highlights. However, to be fair and honest with you, it got so I got so stagnant. Like I kept on staying in one place that I was thinking like it's not getting the views I needed. Or at the same time I'm not having fun because it's the same thing over and over again. And I said to myself, I need to branch out, which is why full-time variety, playing different games. And so if I think about it, I had to start off something new after the year. So when the Halo Alpha came out, with the bot mode back in the summer and stuff like that, I started to get comfortable with it. And so I said to myself, I'm having more fun with this. Like I wanted to get a fresh start, if that makes sense. Like I wanted to like have a fresh state of mind. It's going to be a year since I've started doing this first time next to Lunchbox Publications work. I might as well transition to something new. And that's when the full beta came out, and that was a surprise, especially during the Xbox press conference, seeing 343 announced, and I was like, I think this is my time, this is it, like I'm gonna go for it. I had more fun. I forgot about that I was streaming and I was actually being myself. I was like competitive, and you would see my face doing this, and I'm doing the lean, making people use their channel points, telling me you got to sit up straight, which I am, folks. And so I'm like, I'm having fun, this is it. I think I found it. And at the same time, I hate to bring up sour news, Activision and the Blizzard with the whole, scandals issues were going on. It kind of got depressing. And I was thinking about like, I was worried about myself being at the same time putting my image out there, because I was thinking like, I already automatically assumed, and I hope I don't offend anyone listening, if I play this game, they think I'm representing Blizzard or they think I'm representing Activision for what they stand for. And I'm like, clearly not. And I was thinking, I need a new fresh start. I don't want to get into that type of trouble. I really don't like the drama. Halo came out at the right opportunity and time. I wasn't interested in Vanguard. I was this close getting into Battlefield 2142, or 2042, and it looked disappointing. And I was, okay. time to flip the script. Something saved me. Halo releases. Took my shot, and look where I am now. Hearing Jon distracted me with Mickey laughs and stuff like that, and learning from you, Joey, and you too, Jon, like about communication plays at the same time. Hey, he's one shot, and without you guys, of course, Chris, aka Takiwara, and everybody, and Denise, like, hey, take your time, and Luis, he's gonna kill me if I don't mention him. Take my time with the game, study it from the ground up, and lo and behold, Jon and Joey, not only I want to aim for this as to make content for, but start maybe next to the journalism career, an esports casting career with this game, because I feel like this is a fresh state for me as well. So, good opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of hit on it here a little bit. Also, the hype that came around with Halo Infinite. Obviously, Halo is a legendary game franchise that really is a staple to Microsoft. It's a staple to Xbox. It was the launch title for the original Xbox. Halo 2 is still considered one of the best all-around video games created. It's personally one of my favorite video games ever, and I was in the Sony ecosystem at that time. So obviously, you're making that decision to transition from a variety streamer, from someone who has like Racing Mondays and first-person shooter Tuesdays, to Halo, to a focused approach on Halo Infinite. So, obviously, you're excited for the new Halo. I'm curious your take on how you feel the game is surrounding with all the hype that came with it. Because obviously the older generation of gamers are super hyped. Younger generation gamers are really hyped also because they haven't had a really good Halo to play almost ever. Sorry, yeah. Halo 5. But Halo Infinite, it's also the first one available on PC. I want to get your first impressions of this game, obviously through the test flights, through the beta, now through the launch. What is your take on Halo Infinite?
I'm loving it so far. If we're going to be talking about LvLUp Publications, we did not add that to any game list for 2021 because people were like, what? I was like, hold up. The game came out too late. It was too late for us to put it into the shelf like Cyberpunk 2077. We didn't want to be biased and stuff like that, and especially like this is first person shooter game of the year. We're gonna take it out. So that's one thing. Number two, I'm loving it so far. I know slowly but steadily there's gonna be updates. I know the team at 343 Industries are doing the best way they can to take care of issues. Yes, people, I hear you out there with the cheaters. I bumped into some of them myself, but I have to just shrug, sigh, and keep on playing and just ignore them, of course. It's a great state. I know the game is quote unquote, I know you said fully released in December to Joey, but in my head I was thinking, yo, we're still gonna get content for this. It's not over because not everything is released. Let's be honest, folks. A lot of weapons are still not in this game and a lot of the maps have been revamped or haven't been released yet, and we know a lot of data miners have been doing their best of stuff to let people know, hey, this is coming, even though the maps look like a Chuck E. Cheese ball pit. So let's be patient and wait. But again, to be fair and honest with you, Jon, to answer your question, I didn't give a full, how should I say, a full score out of 5 yet the game because it's undone. It's not finished because I'm having fun with it. I'm still making content with it, but I'm still not yet full to make a full review. I haven't even beat the campaign myself. So that's another thing I have to say as well. But slowly but surely, I know the community is growing very quickly, especially the new generation. A lot of it's kind of funny. Then I should be shameful not saying it. And Jon, you caught me doing this, but a lot of people have been making Reddit memes about saying why are people twerking on my face after they killed me? Okay, let's take a step back. Yeah, and we laugh out loud. And again, Jon, you've seen me doing those twerking moves.
Toxic.
But so here, but I mean, slowly but surely, we're going to see the game update and stuff, and we're going to see a new generation of players come in. both for campaign and people and like Mint. I think it's Minty Royale doing those crazy gravity hammer plays of sending a warthog from one area to another, doing Breath of the Wild Zelda stuff. Y'all are crazy out there, and we're gonna see more. I mean, DLC wise and content wise, not just maps, but new weapons. Bring back the DMR. I don't want the commando anymore. And I mean, I'm loving it so far, even if it's still in quote unquote development. And I wish Tashi and Jon and the rest of the other team nothing but the best over at 343, because again, it's slowly but surely we'll crossing our fingers for the full release. And I'm thinking we're gonna get new modes from what I've been hearing about, because Infection has been one of them. Yep, and King of the Hill hasn't been added yet, and everyone's saying, "Where is it?" People are asking me, "Greg, where is it?" Okay, let me tell you this: February, maybe give it a little bit. And the number one question I've been getting, Jon and Joey, Greg, when are the cat ears coming back? I don't know yet. I will let you know as soon as I find out. Because
should have got them when they were in the store. That's all I'm gonna say.
People missed out on it because they, again, Jon, another thing I should mention too, which was a great move on both 343 and Microsoft's point, it's free to play when it comes to multiplayer. It's a good time to join in, folks. And especially since you haven't experienced Halo yet, and it's a brand new engine, both pros, veterans of the game, fans, and newcomers, this is now the chance to play now. Like, get used to the mechanics, get used to the gunplay, and hopefully us three will see you guys in the Halo Championship Series in the future. Who knows?
Just real quick, Panicking Pat in chat, he's the biggest cat ear fan in all of Halo Infinite. I know for a fact he bought them like within the first 5 seconds they were available. He rocks them every game. So shout out to Panicking Pat, the Halo cat ear lover here in OTN. Joey, look at that.
Oh, absolutely love it. But yeah, Greg, I think you make some good points, and I think they're points that a lot of people kind of really look over in a sense when they're talking about Halo. Not everything is going to be out there day one. Unfortunately, that's kind of where we are with live service games, for better or for worse, depending how you feel about it. But certain ones do it really well. I mean, you look at Fortnite, it has been up toward the top of the charts for so long now. Call of Duty, it's a little bit more complete when it comes out, but you're still getting new maps, you're still getting new weapons, you're still getting new assets added to that along with battle passes. Apex Legends is another one. So there are very successful models out there of how live service can work. And I do think Halo will be one of them. Unfortunately, this was a Halo that was in development for like 5 or 6 years. Everyone wanted it to be semi-complete when it came out, but it's very different. I mean, Campaign took an open world approach, which is something very new to the series. There are still linear missions, but it still has that open world aspect. You look at the multiplayer with the live service. I mean, they're looking at bringing things later on. Like, sure, Halo 3, Halo 2, we had DLC packs, but we're talking many, many, many more maps coming through the line here with Halo Infinite. Many new guns, tons of new cosmetics, new modes, like you were mentioning, Greg. There's a rumor that there's also a Battle Royale mode in the works with a partnership with Certain Affinity. So there's a number of different things coming to this game on top of other stuff that we do know already announced, like co-op for Campaign coming sometime in May. You have Forge mode, which I think is really going to be the lifeblood of this game moving forward. Once you add a custom browser, you add Forge mode, the ability to play zombies and Griffball on custom maps and pirates and Flush the Toilet and Jenga and all those like crazy custom game modes from back in the day, on top of all the new capabilities of today. So I think there's a lot to look forward to and a lot to continue to cover with Halo as we go. But Greg, before we switch over to the HCS scene, what are your thoughts on, let's talk about maps for a moment.
Yeah.
There's a lot of back and forth on maps. Some people love Behemoth. Some people hate Behemoth. If you had to look at the full map set, the limited map set at the moment of what's available in Halo, what map sticks out to you as the one you enjoy playing on the most so far?
If I think about it, it has to be Streets. I'm loving the weapon placements back and forth from let's say for A side with police station and balconies. Yeah, I can say balcony, and of course you have the seaside with, of course, with subway, and of course there's the arcade, the infamous B. It's a great, for me, that's a great map to get used to when because it reminds me of the old school Beaver Creek. If you guys, not Beaver Creek, is it called Beaver? Oh, I forgot that map back in Halo Halo
Gosh,
3 or
I know what
Halo
you're
2.
talking
You
about
know what I'm talking
too.
about. It's like there's like an octagon in the middle and stuff like that. Sniper rifles and two sides and stuff. If someone can remember that name on chat, please. Um, but it has that open world feeling and stuff like that because there's like multiple platforms and high air and of course closed in areas for awesome gunfights and of course melee. Oh, I'm sorry, boxing matches that people like to go forth and stuff. And I mean, I used to be attrition, the one with the indoor blue and yellow refrigeration map and stuff like that with either camo or overshield in middle. But slowly but surely, Streets gave it all to me because it also had those hiding places that you can hide in like such as alleyway and of course top pipes, of course. So yes, but definitely Streets is a good way to get started when it comes to knowing quote unquote special moves such as long sliding glitches and of course jumps and stuff, hiding in between again passageways and especially jumps to get from to subway platform next to shock rifle or stalker rifle, of course. And that was the most, I think, yeah, most memorable map because I think that's the no, that's the best. That's one of the best maps. I would get like 18 to 3 or hopefully 17 and 5 KD and stuff like that, something like that. But that's fun. That's for almost from strongholds. I haven't played Oddball for a while, but I gotta go back. But Oddball's fun mode to play there as well. And nope, it's not a capture the flag map. So yeah, that's basically the strongholds, Team Slayer, attrition, and Oddball. Those those modes for that map. That's it.
All right, so we're going to transition here a little bit since we know you are upset that Behemoth was removed from
No.
Halo because it was by
Fake
far
news.
your favorite map in the game.
Oh my god.
So it was everyone's favorite map. We're going to be completely honest here.
Okay.
So, obviously, extreme sarcasm. That map is horrible. But that opinion is also shared with our Halo pros in the current scene, which, you know, if there is one big thing that Joey, myself, and you love is kind of the reemergence of the HCS, of the pro Halo scene. After Halo 5 did it very dirty years ago, we have Halo Infinite coming back. The HCS in Raleigh was amazing. Joey and I had the honor to and the opportunity to go down there and experience it. I know you watched it as well, and like all of us, we watch it before we start LvLUp, and we watch it after LvLUp is over because Cloud9 just runs the table. I'm just going to say that. But I want to get your take on this as someone who's a Halo fan and as someone who covers the gaming industry, who also puts out articles covering the esports scene as well. The HCS has really come back with a vengeance and is really shaking up the esports scene. Obviously, it's not going to be up there with like a League of Legends, but it is pulling in numbers that people could easily argue make it a solid B tier, if not a low A tier esports scene going forward. What is your current take right now on the HCS and how they're doing going forward with this game?
It's huge. If I think about it, we had a small bad delay, like between the years and stuff like that. Joey, you know what I'm about to talk about because it was a huge shocker and surprise that Frosty, from the Sentinels, he actually joined up with the Call of Duty community. You remember that? And everyone was like, why the sudden switch? While Sentinels, or during that time, Tops Gaming, they automatically went straight to, old school tournaments for Halo 3 and of course, and stuff like that. And the Halo scene sort of died after the last Halo 5 Guardians pro game. And it just sucked because everyone was like, what are you going to do? Are you going to be making some type of tournament and stuff like that deals with Halo 5? No, we're just not going to continue it. So it just went quiet. The Halo community in the pro scene went a bit quiet. However, they did other tournaments such as, again, Halo 3, and it got some attention. It got familiar and fresh faces back, like shout outs to Michael, aka Flamesword, who came back and represented Status Quo for one of the DreamHack tournaments for Halo 3 and stuff. And we did see a rivalry once again and sparked from Snipe Down and Lethal, which was pretty cool. But the thing is, of course, the rise of the Call of Duty League and the Overwatch League sort of took players and people away from that attention because no one wanted to see old school gaming. They wanted to see the latest trend. But how can you still be the latest trend when Halo 5 stopped, which was bad? And of course, the Xbox Series consoles were sort of coming out at that time. They're both the X and the S's. So, with all the quiet down and especially with all the buzz and shouts to the Washington Justice, of course, with the Overwatch League and of course the Call of Duty League. Yeah, New York Subliners, of course, and of course Optic Texas. And for the old people out there, of course, Chicago Huntsmen under the NRG banner. Everyone started getting hype, especially with the franchises that were being made. But I think Halo Championship Series, or HCS for short, saved it from being a franchise, but becoming still an esports league, but not being controlled, if that makes sense. If you guys know what I mean, no city names, nothing, just esports organizations doing their thing. And if I think about it, I'm giving mad props to the community because they funded all the skins that you are buying, folks, to represent your teams, and all the cosmetics help make the prize pool. And I feel like 343's pro scene when it comes to the esports industry, they answered back in a positive way, and that we've never seen before. Because you have Riot Games doing League of Legends, and of course Valorant, and of course, still Valve, correct? When it comes to the CS:GO stuff.
Yeah, for the most part, they work with a bunch of different
Yeah.
partners, but yeah, Valve oversees it.
HCS, I feel like they did it on their own, of course, and they wanted to take it back to the days of I'm gonna sound, and for all you boomers out there, the Major League Gaming days. And remember, those prize pools weren't as big and such. And look at the prize pools now. I mean, Cloud9, and now you see Status Quo, of course, Sentinels, E United, FaZe Clan, and Optic Gaming still kicking and keeping it alive and taking it back to the old days of how esports was when it comes to Halo. So, I mean, I'm impressed, Jon, Joey, and I wish I was still young in my age before the college days, and I wish I would say like, "Hey, pick me up." I mean, I would love to show signs like this and stuff like that. I mean, but don't mind casting it because it's something that I love. I mean, 2010 October, I went to the DC event for the first time with Ishmael Garcia, and we met. I met T Squared, I met Walshy, and I met so many of the other pros who are still playing today. Even Pistola for one of them, who's now in Optic Gaming. And I wish, and here's hoping Final Boss would come back with a bang. And I don't know who's going to be under that banner, but who knows? So here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. And Greg, I'm still having a hard time wrapping my mind around this one part of the world of esports, which is when you hit your mid-20s, you're now a boomer. It is something I will never accept anywhere in my life because that's just so backwards to everything else. Because it's like, obviously 16, 17, and 18-year-olds that are playing these games, I mean, like, we see how skilled they are, but like for whatever reason, it's like 25 hits and it's like, oh wait, I have to aim up to shoot. Oh, okay. It's like just boomeritis hits real quick. But Joey, I know you had one more question for him.
Yeah, Greg, as we get ready to wrap up the interview and move into some of the other topics, one other big glaring question that always comes up with gamers is there's so many games that come out in a year, and 2022 being one of those big years. You have God of War Ragnarok coming out. Horizon Forbidden West is coming out this year. Gran Turismo 7, a rumor of a new Forza Horizon, Starfield. I mean, the list goes on and on. So of all these games coming out in 2022, is there one in particular that you're very excited for and looking forward to playing?
Elden Ring got my attention off the bat. Ever since playing Demon Souls for the first time on the PlayStation 5, I wanted to venture again. This was back during my variety stream days. I mean, I still stream for the Lunchbox when it comes to any type of games besides Halo. Has to be Elden Ring off the bat due to the fact that it had that Demon Souls, but it also has that Bloodborne, which again, same company from software. It has that feel, but it's also being made by and produced by Guillermo del Toro, which is like, whoa, that's a big name. And we haven't seen him team up with another developer since obviously Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding, of course, which he made a cameo in. And of course, he was also part of that. And I'm sorry to bring this up, all you fans out there. He was supposed to work on the next Silent Hill, and then that just flopped automatically, and it just it was unfortunate. But I think it's Del Toro, or was it? Oh my gosh, I think I got the names mixed up because wasn't it supposed to be that? Who wrote the books for Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I was gonna say I know the Game of Thrones writer is involved.
Sorry, my bad. See, that's what we want to see. George R.R. Martin.
Yep.
There you go. That's the guy. Forgive me, chat. Forgive me, LvLUp fans. You can unfollow me after that mistake. Anyways, because Elden Ring it's like it shows a bit of like the graphically, it's very unique. It's very clean. It has that gritty moments as a Demon Soul game, but has that fantasy aspect of it. And co-op, that's definitely on my list. I mean, I would love to play that game with Denise or any other of my other friends and stuff like that. Either you guys, if you want to join and team up with me, I mean, please, I would love to team with you guys with that game. Besides playing Halo, of course. I mean, we got to branch out there and take a break sometime. And I think that's it. Because with all these, with all what Microsoft is buying and stuff, with all these companies, especially since PlayStation is now rumored to buy another major company, I don't know who it is. I mean, the backlog is just growing and growing and growing and growing, and I can't wait to see what's next. And I'm gonna vote for your Elden Ring just for your poll right now. Yep, I have every right to do that.
Mixed. It's rigged. It's rigged when you do that. It's completely fine.
Oh my god,
You're good. No, you're good. No recounts allowed here in Twitch polls. But Greg, again, thank you so much for joining us here today. We're going to go ahead and just wrap up the interview portion. And the reason why we're ending it this way is because we're not going to kick you out. We're actually going to keep you on here for the rest of the show as we transition into gaming and esports news as well. But before we do that, just want to put it on record for everyone out there. Greg, again, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you follow Greg on social media at The Remix. If you're looking here live on Twitch, it's literally right there below him. It's spelled T3HR3M1X because it's gamer. That's why. Follow the Lunchbox Publications as well. On Twitter, it's the Lunchbox Pub, spelled TEH, then Lunchbox Pub normally. So there as well. Joey will put that in chat for everyone to follow as well. Greg, thank you so much. Also, please, by all means, shout out your Twitch and all other social media for you and the Lunchbox Publications, please.
Same thing as the Twitter links that you see in chat as well, but instead of twitter.com, it's twitch.tv/theremix or the Lunchbox Pub. And also check us out. Definitely check us out on Twitter because all of our stuff is basically on our link tree, and we would love for you guys to also join the Discord. Jon and Joey are part of it. They're great. They're great, and at the same time, who knows? We might hire them in the near future for casting.
I mean, look, if you're trying to get people to join your server, saying that we're in there is probably not a good idea.
Oh my god!
I mean, we kind of bring it down a level or two. No, but
again,
absolutely. Good.
Again, it's an honor to know you both. I mean, especially when me, Matt, Denise, and the rest of the crew met you guys. I mean, bump into each other at meet parties, especially hosted by the Game Jam, and of course the Overwatch League get-togethers before the pandemic started and stuff. Again, like I'm also learning from you guys as well. Like, folks, if you're not following these two, please, that's the worst mistake of your life. These guys are awesome. I learned from them. I learned from their broadcasting at the same time, how to speak properly, you can learn from these two. Please, like, man, give them a chance because they're doing a great, excuse my language, damn job here in the DMV area. I know that's not a bad word, but still.
Okay, Greg, your check is in the mail. Thank you for the kind words. We do appreciate that. But Joey, we're going to go ahead and transition now to the second half of the show. Again, Greg is going to be sticking around. The dude's got a brain worth of like gaming and esports knowledge himself. So we're going to keep him around and get his opinion on some of these news stories as well, Joey. But I'm going to kick it over to you as we transition to the second half of the show, gaming and esports news. Let's go.
Absolutely, guys. Welcome. A couple more topics today. So we're talking Microsoft's Q2 earnings report. We are talking Activision-Blizzard and updating a few on that acquisition with Microsoft. We're talking The Rock making another appearance in a video game-based movie and a few other topics before we wrap up today's show. So diving into the Microsoft Q2 earnings report. It's a little bit numbery at the front, but there's a reason we're going over it. Gaming revenue is up 8% for them in Q2. Xbox content and services up 10%. Xbox hardware revenue up 4%. And guys, this is after a huge Q2 last year. Gaming in general has been booming. PlayStation, big gains. Nintendo, big gains. Microsoft, big gains. All these publishers, huge games. Over COVID, really, since COVID started in 2020, gaming has taken a huge rise, and it was already rising. It just continued to rise throughout COVID. And because of this, Greg, I mean, you've watched a lot of this too from Lunchbox Publications. They just continue to hit marks and it continues to grow. And the amount of money being poured into games right now is bigger than it ever has been. And it doesn't look like it's going to slow down anytime soon.
Exactly. If I think about it, the pandemic, since a lot of people are staying from home and stuff, that increased so many sales in video games and such, especially for the Nintendo Switch. During 2020, I remember when the pandemic was starting to begin and everyone was being given a stay-at-home order, do not go out without, without any, how should I say, any reason to, or and of course, wear a mask and stuff. We saw a rise when it comes to the Nintendo Switch sales because people were playing at home. And of course, everyone's still playing to this day. Animal Crossing was the biggest game to be picked up and being played on the console. So, not just that. We also saw a rise in PC game purchases. I dare not ask the sales numbers when it comes to Steam because obviously when sales happened, Valve took it an opportunity like, hey, if you're staying home, play these games and stuff like that, and games were on sale. Boom, the money was going across the board and stuff, making Gabe Newell rich again, and not making a Half-Life 3. But in other words, you're right, Joey. I completely agree. I don't want to say this in a bad way, and I'm not trying to offend anyone out there. The pandemic actually helped the video game sales rise and stuff like that because besides doing work and staying at home and stuff like that, of course, exercising and watching movies and stuff, gaming is another part of entertainment, and that definitely brought in a lot of money to the industry. So you can't deny anything about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people were looking for ways to connect with one another. And like you said, Animal Crossing was a way to do that. Discord became a way to do that. Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, all these ways to connect with family and friends just became more and more really proficient in that time. John, I think you were about to jump in there as well.
No, you actually took the words out of my mouth. But since I have the floor real quick, the poll has ended, Joey, in Twitch chat for what 2022 game are you most excited for? Starfield won. No shocker there. Starfield won there. It was close. Second place was Other. So, chat, if you put Other, I'm curious. Go ahead and put in the chat what game you are looking forward to in 2022. It'd be interesting to see there as well. Then Elden Ring coming up in third place. No love for God of War, which is atrocious.
Yeah, that one surprised me.
God of War is a fantastic game. It's a fantastic series. Yes, I understand it's a Sony exclusive, but if you don't own a PlayStation, you don't plan on getting a PlayStation, you don't want to hunt for a PlayStation 5, check it out on Twitch, check it out on YouTube. The story is amazing. The gameplay is fantastic. It is one of the games that's near and dear to my heart. But yeah, it's a little surprising. God of War Ragnarok didn't get any love here in the poll. But Starfield, the most looked forward to game, and rightfully so. The game looks fantastic from what we've seen. T-Span says Overwatch 2. T-Span's I'm going to time you out.
Yeah, and other people are talking about FIFA over here. I'm very worried for our chat right now.
Our Star Wars Legos? Okay, that's fair.
That looks good, actually. I saw gameplay of that. I was like, I did not expect it to look like this. Okay, okay. I'm definitely down for that. If I think about it, I forgot about the new Legend of Zelda. I'm also thinking about the new, of course, Splatoon 3 for everyone rocking the Switch consoles, especially since Dread was a huge game for Metroid Dread, of course, was a huge game for the Nintendo Switch, and that made bank so much, like on day one, which I was really surprised for, because it also has people waiting for the next Metroid Prime title. Jon and Joey says. Everyone's crossing their fingers about that, and of course Bayonetta 3, which is another Nintendo Switch exclusive, which from Platinum Games. So I know that's going to be huge. Oh man, I'm also reading your chat too, guys, because Eric brought up a good one, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order 2. Man, I'm kind of salty, Joey, because I need to go back play that game because I need to get the trophies.
Gotta get that platinum, man. That's a hard one. Exploring those maps was a freaking nightmare because they are just not easy to traverse back and forth. Like, it's so linear once you get onto the maps that it takes a while. And I know OG Flavortown has played through the game quite a few times, so he can attest to it as well. It is not easy to find every secret and chest and really just work your way back through maps multiple times.
Jeez. Oh man.
So sliding over, a few other things came out in the Microsoft earnings report. We're not going to break down the 2021 year in particular, but the content and services made up 77% of the revenue during that time. That's your Xbox Live, your Xbox Gold, your Game Pass being very big there as well. But looking at a few other notes, so Halo, we now have some player numbers. It has surpassed 20 million players since launch. I don't know what launch means, if they're going off the December date or if they're going off the November date. I would assume November here. But regardless, 20 million players jumping into Halo, getting into their Spartan suits. On top of that, Forza Horizon 5, that one launched in early November and has already pulled in 18 million people as well. And it's now launching in China pretty shortly too. So that number could really skyrocket here in the near future. Both these games kind of like carrying Microsoft's quarter four or holiday quarter, really, both coming out with really, really big numbers here in just a couple months.
You got me really thinking about the when I thought it was already released like worldwide, including China, but it hasn't been released yet. You say? Like,
yeah, I think it's still being natively done for Chinese. So once it's fully done for the Chinese versions of the console, it should be released there. And I can only imagine how big that game could get over there as well.
That number is going to be so doubled super quickly. I cannot wait till like maybe hopefully we'll see more numbers in quarter three. You think? Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility. And I don't know if they technically loop into the US servers either. I think because China runs their own kind of Chinese server side stuff over there. So I don't know if the numbers will fully get poured in. But overall, yeah, 20 million players on Halo, 18 million on Forza, and 25 million subscribed to Game Pass now as well.
Yep. Double the numbers on quarter three. There's no competition at the moment. Microsoft is really killing it at this time, especially after last week. I mean, yeah, last week's purchase. So yeah, here we go.
We'll have to wait and see on that. We'll also be touching on the Sony and Nintendo earnings calls when they happen. They are currently scheduled for February 2nd. So assuming that all goes as planned, we'll be touching on those probably on next week's episode. With that, let's slide into Activision-Blizzard. So we talked about the acquisition of Activision-Blizzard by Microsoft and all the pieces that fell into place for that last week. But now we have some more news. The first half of that news, rather, is the new survival game. We haven't had a new IP from Activision-Blizzard, or Blizzard, rather, for quite a while. Overwatch being the most recent one. Now we do know there's a survival game, something in the vein of like an Ark being worked on over there. New characters, completely new IP. I've never been a big survival game fan, but I'm pretty stoked to see a new IP from Blizzard.
Yeah, I saw this picture. The one you have on screen at the moment. This looks. Do you think? So here's my question for you guys. Do you think ever since Microsoft did that acquisition, or the ink is finally dry, right? Everything's fully paid for, like. Microsoft
so yes and no. Everyone's agreed to be acquired, and it's all moving forward. The price has been decided. Now it just has to go through all the jurisdiction stuff. So all the lawyers have to approve it and all of that action, and the U.S. Supreme Court and all that. So once it makes it through all the business-related expenses from the EU and the U.S. and every type of court that has to approve it, then the ink will be dry. But for now, it's just between the two companies.
So now which brings me to my question: do you honestly think that this was like a Blizzard idea, like after it was purchased by Microsoft, it all just switched over to fully to announce that, if that makes sense?
I think that could have been a discussion to hold off the announcement until then. Okay. But this has definitely been a game in the works for a while. It's been in the works for at least 2 years from what we've heard. So it's been being worked on in the background, and supposedly it's a very good team over there. One of the cleanest teams away from the Activision Blizzard mess of this last couple of years. But overall, it sounds like this IP has been in development. Maybe it was just announced because the acquisition was announced. But overall, it does seem like something that people are excited about over there. And then just the world in general. Blizzard is one of those really unique companies, unique developers that brings really cool IPs to the table. And it's been a while since we've got a new one from them. We've seen some art on this. And John, I'm curious to get your thoughts as well. I know you're a big guy when it comes to art and lore. What are your thoughts of Blizzard developing a new universe outside of the StarCraft and Warcraft we already have?
True.
So, I mean, look, in all honesty, we have to take a look at it in a unique perspective. The original team and the team that made World of Warcraft the masterpiece of lore that it is the team that made StarCraft a very unique lore experience as well. And even to a point, Overwatch, dare I say, has some lore to it as well. Most of those people are gone. The creative minds behind it have departed the studio. So I think this is a really unique opportunity to take a fresh start going into a survival game. Obviously, Blizzard has standards when it comes to what they're looking for, when it comes to storytelling, to lore. They're very much into that mythical, elves, magic, different realms kind of fantasy feel. So that's what I'm kind of expecting this to be as well. The concept art, again, you can't look too far into concept art, but I like the direction that they are showing. Obviously, on that screen that we just previewed as well, they're hiring a ton of people for this game as well. This is easily years and years and years away, 5, 6, 7 years away. If these are the people they're still hiring, I would not expect a new IP to come out from at least Blizzard, or at least this survival game IP, for minimum 4 or 5 years. And that's on the very hopeful, wishful kind of side of things, because as we all know, Overwatch, their first original IP, when that came out, was 10 years in between their last original IP. It is a process, and rightfully so. I trust the creative minds at Blizzard, not exactly their leadership, but I trust the creative minds in the studios. And I think with the Microsoft acquisition, they're going to allow them the freedom to be very creative and very open with ideas. Something the Microsoft gaming studios has been very open about with a lot of their studios they acquired, is allowing them that leeway, which gets me excited. And, there's a lot of Blizzard fans out there that are kind of excited at the prospect of Microsoft allowing those creative minds in Blizzard to really, reach into their imagination and create something special. So, I mean, I think it's a good time to start getting excited again. Now that the leadership of Blizzard Activision is on their way out, they're going to be led by Microsoft. So I'm kind of at that point now where it's like, maybe I might allow myself to get excited for a survival game coming from Blizzard.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot to take away there, and there's not really too much information yet, so it's more speculation than anything. But as we get further down the line to see what they're going to bring to this new IP, something fresh, and hopefully it'll end up as a rebirth in a sense for that company, going through so much now, and there's still many things that need to be done on the back end, but hopefully this is the beginning of what the new era of Blizzard will end up looking like.
I was going to say, whenever they're going to do, I don't know if we're going to get another quote unquote BlitzCon, maybe we'll see something, maybe some concept art along the line. However, in my head, I was also thinking about holding back and saying that because I said to myself, game development takes time, and I agree with Jon completely. So step by step, introduce us to something when you're comfortable with it, Blizzard. That's all we're trying to say. So again, we don't want to rush it because we don't want it to be another, forgive me for saying this, another Cyberpunk 2077 hot mess, and look what happened. So yeah,
I mean, or what is it, Star Wars 1313, and maybe it never makes the light of day.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, those coming back to Twitter today, unfortunately.
If there's anything we learned about Cyberpunk, is that you can release a bad game, but as long as you have a 37 gig patch to fix everything, you're golden.
All about the patching life. So the next thing with Activision Blizzard, to bring some updates. So we had a big topic last week, and it seemed like the biggest topic on social media with Call of Duty being acquired by Xbox through this deal. What does it mean for PlayStation gamers? Is Call of Duty still coming to the platform? Is it done? We still don't quite know the answer. So based on a quote from Twitter from Phil Spencer last week, he said, in quotes, he had good calls this week with leaders at Sony. I confirmed our intent to honor all existing agreements upon acquisition of Activision Blizzard and our desire to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation. Sony is an important part of our industry, and we value our relationship. And there's a few other interviews where Phil went a little bit more in depth, that it wasn't really to keep anything away from Sony in a sense, but more to continue to keep the industry thriving with other people kind of looking in, like your Apples, your Amazons, your Googles, who haven't really taken a full approach to it. We saw Google launch Stadia, and they haven't really supported it much since. Amazon with Luna has been a little bit better to a degree. but still leaves a lot to be desired. And now we have Apple kind of looking in, as well as putting a lot of restrictions on developers on the App Store. So I think more than anything, he's trying to continue to keep the industry as a whole, but it is a business. And Xbox realizes there's a lot of money in Activision-Blizzard, even with it continuing to drop off over the recent couple years. But overall, the Call of Duty franchise is a behemoth in and of itself. So we got a little bit more information this week. Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg came out with a new post. And in his post, he says, and quote, Activision is committed to releasing at least the next 3 Call of Duty games on PlayStation, even after the Xbox acquisition, according to people familiar with the deal. And what are those 3 games? That is Call of Duty 2022, which is going to be Modern Warfare 2, or the new Modern Warfare number 2. Then you have Call of Duty 2023, which I believe is going to be a Black Ops game. And then Warzone number 2 also releasing in 2023. And that'll kind of be the next-gen version of Warzone. After that, it's hazier, according to his quote. So we don't know where Call of Duty will be after that, but given the deal that PlayStation has already signed with Activision-Blizzard prior to the arrangement now being made with Microsoft, they will at least get the next 3 games on that platform, possibly a lot more than that, but at least those next 3 with probably some kind of exclusivity tied in as well. John, going over to you first, what are your thoughts here? Obviously, Call of Duty is such a big franchise, especially in the West. Tying it to one platform, do you see that as the business decision Microsoft makes here, or do you think they keep it open?
I would think they keep it open. I think the reason why it's hazier after Warzone 2 coming out, one, we don't know when that deal with Sony actually expires, so there could always be new negotiations. Obviously, it's a new ownership group now with the studio, so you have to take that into account. And the other thing, too, is maybe we might not be looking at a Call of Duty that gets pumped out on an annual basis. God forbid, do I dare say, maybe we get a COD every 2 years, maybe every 3 years. Maybe we have some stability in the Call of Duty scene. Now, I mean, Microsoft is a large corporation. They like money. Who doesn't like money? So that being said, they could stick with the annual release, but then they also be putting out mediocre game year after year, kind of like what Activision was doing. So I see this more as a reset period. Yes, Microsoft is going to honor the current standing agreement with Sony when it comes to Call of Duty, keep a cross-platform. But after that, I guess it really comes down to with what Microsoft wants to do with that franchise. Do they want to keep going with the annual release of a game that obviously is going to sell well, but ratings and reviews not being super stellar? It's going to shake up the esports scene every single year. It's not going to bring any stability to that. Or are they going to take a step back and say, hey, we're going to do it every 2 years and then kind of renegotiate that deal with Sony based upon how those games are going to be released? That's a massive question mark. And that's why I think, we saw Jason say this is going to be a little bit hazier after Warzone 2 coming out. And I think rightfully so. I don't think Microsoft, I should say, is going to go out of their way to slam the door on Sony and any kind of cross-platform, sharing of this game, since that's what this game originally, one of the reasons why it was so great is because it's on cross-platform. And Microsoft has been, this is still so weird to say, very gamer-friendly, pro-gamer. So I would actually be kind of surprised if they did decide to make that decision to make COD an Xbox exclusive. So I do think they'll keep it on both consoles going forward. But again, it comes down to what their long-term plan is going to be.
Over to you, Greg. What are your thoughts on this?
I agree with John, and I was thinking about the same thing. I would rather take a play on Ubisoft's book, just like what they did for the Assassin's Creed series. Take a break, because at this point, the entire series has been too badly saturated. I'm being honest when I say that. A lot of the pros and a lot of fans alike are not happy with the scene and stuff and such. And matter of fact, like, the game needs to at least to be take it up easy. I mean, the campaign is story-wise wonderful. It's the multiplayer that's being looked at constantly over time. That also includes the Call of Duty League. Like, that's what my main focus was in my head. I was thinking, hold on, I know I know a lot of pro players are playing in pro PCs now. At the same time, we still haven't seen a ranked play mode, which is not going to be released until February of next month, which is so, like, super late, and is unacceptable. Matter of fact, a lot of the players were a bit upset since Halo got it first, rank play, before they did, and that game came out, and Vanguard came out in early October, correct? If I'm not mistaken.
Early November.
Early November. Got you. And so it's going to be. Let's see what happens first for like the next 3 years, for the rest of 2022, 23, and 24, and then we'll take it from there. But I couldn't agree more with you, John. Take a break from the series, because if you don't take it back to what it was like during the days, especially adding new stuff that we're not used to seeing yet, like what is this and stuff like that. What's this new feature? You're gonna start losing players, and I really, really hate to bring this up, but Dr. Disrespect said the best after he got taken down during a stream. He said out loud, "Microsoft isn't gonna save you." Well, we'll see what happens next from there, because it's looking a bit hopeful, but again with the acquisition, but crossing your fingers for a small break. Like, please give Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer Games a chance to build it the right way, at least, and Microsoft whenever you get the chance to. So here's hoping.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you guys. And I think we do see a move back to a 2-year cycle. Like when we look at COD, when it was at its height, it was getting that extra year, that extra time of polish, that extra time to be a little bit more innovative. And sure, a lot of it was still copy and paste the COD formula, the tried and true. But you did at least come out with more polished games, less buggy games. So I think eventually they'll work their way back to that. And a lot of these support studios that have been brought on from COD under Activision, I think, do eventually start making their own IPs, like your Toys for Bob. Maybe they can do some Spyro or some Banjo. Doing different things like that should become a thing under Microsoft, assuming the deal does eventually go through. Now, one thing that might not need any rest, because he's been resting up a while for video game movies, is The Rock. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has come out and quoted himself in an interview here. I believe it was with Men's Journal, yes. So in an interview with Men's Journal, he was asked, "You've had a long history with Microsoft and the Xbox. Do you have any plans to bring video game characters to the big screen?" And The Rock, being himself, he gave a nice little smirk, and then he came out and said, "I've always been a big Madden fan. I can tell you which game in particular or he can't tell you in particular which game he's going to be doing, but there'll be an announcement this year. We're going to bring one of the biggest, most badass games to the screen, one that I've played for years. I'm really excited to bring it to the fans around the world. Of course, we're going to do right by our gamer friends." And then he goes on to say, "But really, we're just going to make a great movie." Guys, I'm excited for this. I think The Rock does a great job in a lot of the movies he's in. Some don't quite hit as well, but a number of them do end up quite good. In the end, another game movie, I think, is always a good thing. A lot of game movies has missed in recent years. They haven't quite hit the mark, but we have seen a number of them. Prince of Persia did quite well. We've seen The Witcher adapted quite well over on Netflix too. So a number of them starting to make good transitions over from video games to movies. With The Rock in mind, what IP do you guys think he could be starring in here? Greg, I'll start with you first.
I'm sorry, John's face cracked me up because I knew he was. I was like, "Please go first, John, so I could hear what you're gonna say." But you picked me.
Gotta change things up, you know.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so a lot of people have been making jokes. A lot of people have been copying, pasting The Rock's face on Steve from Minecraft. Y'all need to chill out with that, which was kind of funny. I was not gonna lie, but it got me thinking, especially since sort of video game movies still the topic. They announced the development of Mortal Kombat 2, which is like, okay, here we go. But if I could pick one franchise, I can't say Halo because it's going to be a television show underneath the Paramount Plus. We're going to see the trailer this upcoming Sunday, for those who don't know, during the AFC game, I believe. Yes. And if I could pick one franchise, oh man, since there's so many and stuff, since he was in Rampage, he was also in that god awful dark movie, Doom, and he, like, oh, you can barely see it these days. Even if you saw a Blu-ray copy, just save yourselves. I honestly don't know, Joey, because I was thinking, because it got me thinking about this week ever since all the news aggregates got like announced it. But I was thinking, like, what movie can he be in that's gonna be legit and badass? Because it's The Rock, it's Dwayne Johnson. Like, goodness gracious, like, oh my goodness. Alan said it. I think Alan gave it away. Gears of War. I was thinking, can he play Marcus Phoenix? I can't imagine and fathom that. Like, if he can play Marcus Phoenix, that would be pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie, because I was thinking about that, but I also thought about Dave Bautista, and Alan also mentioned it in chat as well. He's also attached to the platform, but we shall see. We shall see. I mean, Gears of War is a huge bet. I mean, hell, if he's gonna be in a Pac-Man movie, people will pay to watch it. Why not? It's The Rock. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Joey. So I hate to break it to everyone out there. I already know what game he's going to be in, and it's going to be fantastic. Joey, he's gonna make a slight adjustment to what kind of movie he does. Yes, it's going to be, as he said, quote, badass. But that badass game, Joey, is actually My Little Pony Island Adventures, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Like, this movie is going to be so incredible. Like, I don't think anyone's prepared for how awesome this is going to be. Of course it's going to be Gears of War. Let's be real here. Look, as much as I would love for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to be in a God of War movie, I think that would be fantastic. His loyalty to Microsoft, I just don't see that happening. Not saying I wouldn't, again, love seeing a God of War movie, but I don't think The Rock's going to do that. Gears of War is perfect for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, for DC's own Dave Bautista. I think it would be absolutely fantastic having both of them in a Gears of War movie. It would be violent, it will be bloody, and it will be absolutely amazing seeing both of those amazing actors play characters that we love from Gears of War on the big screen. And I honestly think having those two in that movie, that kind of cast, would be enough to get over that hesitation of, oh boy, here we go again, another video game being adapted to the silver screen. It's not going to be good. We're gonna go straight to the trash of Mario Bros again. I don't want to watch it. I think you put those two in there, that gets a lot of people over that hurdle. That gets a lot of people. They get what they say in sales, their butts in seats. They go to the theater, gonna go stream it at home. They're gonna watch it because they know the quality of both of those actors. So I honestly do think it's gonna be Gears of War. I mean, that's where all the signs are kind of pointing right now.
Yeah, I'm right there along with you guys. When I first heard this, I'm thinking either Gears of War or God of War. It's felt like a GOW movie one way or another. The interesting thing for me is that the question did mention Xbox and Microsoft, so that does lean me a little bit more toward Gears of War. Plus, we know The Rock has played Gears of War a number of times in the past, so it could end up being that. Then the question is, who does he play? Do you cast him as Marcus, like Greg was saying? Do you go Batista, like we have Ray in chat saying? Or I mean, Batista Dom, rather, that we have Ray in chat saying? Or do you even go like Coltrane? Could he be the Cole, that nice comedy relief character that's also just kind of badass in so many other ways throughout that movie? So I'm very curious to see what we will see with those cutscenes in the game transitioning to a movie. Do they take a different plot twist? What that ends up looking like? We know with Halo, at least, they're going with the silver timeline, as they call it. So while it does interloop with a lot of the canon, there will be twists and turns that go a little bit off of canon into its own timeline, as they're calling it. So it could be the same thing with Gears of War if it is under that Microsoft umbrella. If it's God of War, maybe it's a little bit more true to the actual game. But then again, with the Last of Us series over there, they are making quite a few changes too. So it's one of those things. Movie is taken one way and games are taken another. And the ability just to watch something versus actually playing it out and feeling different emotions is something that those directors have to take into account. So we'll keep an eye on that. Go ahead, Greg.
Sorry to cut you off. My bad. I definitely want to add to the fact that he did mention going back and talking to the developers or stuff like that. That's what the article said. This is a good chance for Cliff Bleszinski to come out of quote unquote retirement and like help develop this movie. Cliff Bleszinski, for those who don't know, he's the creator of the Gears of War franchise and stuff. People think it's Rob from the Coalition. Wrong. It's Cliffy B. For those who don't know. And definitely having him on the seat as a creative to help guide the movie to where it's at. Please, as long as whoever directs this and such puts it in the right path, you definitely need to have Cliff Bleszinski into this project. If not, I mean, I love Rob and I love the Coalition, but you got to give it to also to the original creator. Like, come on now. So here's hoping, crossing fingers.
Yeah, it definitely would be nice to see Cliff involved and see what direction, especially if they go with the classic Gears of War instead of bringing the new characters like JD and Kate into it. If they stick with kind of that Marcus, that Barrett, that Cole story, getting a few more of those characters involved as well as Cliff. So we'll keep an eye on that. Just a couple other topics before we wrap up today's show. Next on the list is Apple. Guys, Apple has made the iPhone. They've made the iPad, they've made iMacs, and a number of other products with nice eyes and Apple logos all over them, as well as big, big price tags. What are your thoughts on Apple possibly jumping into building a gaming console? So according to Jez Corden of Windows Central and on the Xbox 2 podcast, he came out and said that he's heard that Apple is working on a console. In quotes, he states, "I've been hearing for a while that Apple has been poaching Xbox engineers to make its own console." And he goes on to mention that Apple is also known for canceling big projects before they ever see the light of day. So this one could be in that same scenario as well. We really don't know at this point. In the end, though, Apple, they've made a lot of big tech advancements over the years. They've also kind of built a big gated community that's grown and grown, but is still gated in many aspects. What are your thoughts of them jumping into the gaming industry? John, over to you first for this one.
Do I have to be positive on this?
You can go either way. I mean, it seems like a lot of people are very opinionated on this one.
Okay, so this is the same company that charges you close to $2,500 for a laptop that is literally 1/4 the power of any laptop I have ever owned. You will get yourself 256 gigabyte hard drive. It might be solid state if you're lucky. You will get a non-existent graphics card. But great news is you'll be in the Apple ecosystem. And this is coming from someone who actually does like Apple. I have an iPhone. I have an iPod. I have AirPods. Like, full disclosure, I love Apple. But here's the issue. If they actually go through with this, it's going to be stupidly priced. It is going to be absolutely awful. You think $500 is bad for a PlayStation 5 if you can actually find it? You think $500 is actually bad? I swear. Okay, Greg. Congratulations. That's the first time I've actually seen a PlayStation 5. It's not in person, though, so we're not going to count it. But nonetheless, like, you think $500 is bad for an Xbox Series X? Yeah. Congratulations. Welcome to the iGamer box, because it's Apple. It has to be an i. Where they're going to have their own processor that they've been working on for their laptops and their Mac computers, and everything else built in-house so they can save even more money. Joey, if this sees the light of day, get ready to pay no less than $14.99 for this gaming console, and it will be nowhere close to the power of the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. I just don't trust Apple to actually do this. Like, yeah, you have Apple Arcade. Congratulations. You want to know something? Apple doesn't make any of those games. They're all third party. No one cares. I do not want Apple to enter this space because I just don't see it doing well. I think it's going to be a 1% gaming console that only the rich are going to be able to afford. And I would argue nobody should buy it at that price point. There is no entertainment system out there, the Xbox and the PlayStation included, that is worth anything more than maybe $500-600. Like, I just don't see it unless they blow us out of the water with a entertainment system that plays massive games on it, like a PlayStation or a Series X, and it's a computer and has Dolby Atmos surround sound and was a projector and can do the dishes and can do your laundry and fold it too. I just don't see it being worth anything. And Apple, again, known for those incredibly stupid price points. I don't want them to do it. Stay away. Go away. Leave it to the big boys. Leave it to Microsoft. Leave it to Sony. Leave it to Nintendo. I don't want you in here.
Wow, I mean, I was so ready to avoid this potential console until you started saying it could do my laundry and dishes, and now I'm kind of in. So Apple, love to see what you're developing over there. But yeah, overall, I think it is one of those interesting things to keep an eye on. And the other thing I think people forget when it comes to console making is you got to have IP as well. When you look at PlayStation, you look at Nintendo, you look at Xbox, they have hundreds upon hundreds of titles and IP rights that they have behind them, so they can just pump out first-party titles with the developers they already have in-house. So if Apple's going to make this move, you almost have to pair the console launch with buying a publisher, whether that's an Ubisoft or a Square Enix or whoever it ends up being. Take-Two would be a big one as well. You almost have to pair that up, or you have to pair it up with millions upon probably billions at that point of dollars in third-party deals to even be able to compete with a Microsoft, a Sony, or a Nintendo. Over to you, Greg, on your thoughts as well.
I agree with John. If you enter the realm of the top three at this moment, I assure you, you're going to get ripped in half. I'm warning Apple at this point because if I think about it, those AirPod Max, the headphones and stuff like that,
So
they were like 500. Okay, they're like $500 on market price, and I was like, why? And I just like it looks so weird and stuff like that. However, it got me thinking also about the development issues and stuff. It reminded me also about last year's Apple versus Epic Games case and stuff when it comes to video game development. Will developers actually trust Apple after that court case? That's another concern I have as well. And as much as I say, hey, cool, you guys have app games such as Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, for example, and of course Cookie Run Kingdom, but I feel like you guys should stay in the mobile market because people are killing it there. Apple's killing it. I mean, Candy Crush. I mean, look, Call of Duty and I mean, it's under an Activision name. I mean, now they're bought by Microsoft and stuff like that. So it's gonna be very, very tough for them to battle out, especially with Apple going up against Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. You're just gonna get blown out of the water, and I won't be surprised if no one buys their consoles. And let's just say another thing, the PC world is also going to quote unquote get back into the handheld market because the Stream Deck is about to get released in February. So that's another thing to look at. So if Apple does get on board, be forewarned, you better make a first good impression, because if not, no one's gonna get your stuff on day one. I assure you, because they can't be looked at as a gaming company just only for mobile, and that's it. It's sad to say. It's very, very upsetting and sad to say.
So the one thing that Apple kind of has, and they do well at, is how well their ecosystem is integrated with everything. You can start something on an Apple TV or an Apple TV plugin, transfer it to your phone, then switch it over to your iPad, then over to your Mac or your MacBook Pro or wherever. You can have an Apple HomePod. Their integration is incredible, and I feel like they do a really good job at that. And that's what they that's what they use to lever these price points. And I get that. But we as a consumer, we as gamers out there that are already being nickeled and dimed to death. I'm looking at you, Sony, charging $70 for games, for this next gen. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. My issue is, will gamers that are already in the Apple ecosystem be willing to pay to continue to be in the Apple gaming or the Apple ecosystem, or bring another piece of technology into that realm just because of the integration? And again, like I've always said this, like Apple makes great products, but my personal biggest hurdle with Apple has always been their computer line, the Macs and the MacBooks. I've always had an issue with their pricing, with as little power as they give you. If that remains true for this console, you have to ask yourself as an Apple consumer, is that ecosystem bringing another piece of technology in worth that price bump? And I just can't justify it. There's no way I can justify that over an Xbox or over a PlayStation.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough one. And it's one of those things that I think we go back and forth until we see that price point, until we see the specs, until we see the products and really titles that will be on top of this console and playable on this console, if it even releases. I mean, like Jess said, a lot of these things happen in the back rooms of Apple and they never do see the light of day. This could be one of those where they're buying engineers, they're trying to make something, then they realize, just like Google and Amazon did, that it is a very big investment to get into gaming and to really compete with the Microsofts, with the Sonys, with the Nintendos, and even just the other publishers out there as well on the game side. So we'll keep an eye on that one, bring you guys more information as it comes on that front. Last bit of news here, and then a very quick point on League of Legends, and we're going to wrap up things so you guys can go get ready to download your Pokemon for the Switch owners out there that want to jump into that game. But last on the list, ESL and FACEIT. They've been acquired by Savvy Gaming Group for $1.5 billion to form the new group called ESL Faceit Group. Very original, I know. The Savvy Gaming Group, for those that don't know, is a new company. It was recently formed last year in 2021, and it is fully backed by the Saudi Arabian Public Investment Fund. So for those that don't know, this is pretty much a fund set up directly by the Saudi Arabian government, now coming in and owning ESL Faceit here. The big thing here behind putting the money in is that they hope to see significant growth within it over a long term of the investment. In Q4 of 2020, they are very not so new to investing in games. They've done it for quite a while. And just a couple of years ago in Q4 of 2020, they did invest $3 billion into Activision-Blizzard, Electronic Arts, and Take-Two Interactive as well. So they've been around the block for a couple of years at least now. Again, this particular branch of the company being new, though. In the end, this is a lot of money. $3 billion back then in 2020, $1.5 billion now, and they pretty much buy out two of the biggest organizers in esports, especially when it comes to FPS games. In particular, these two sites and really platforms are used very big in CSGO. A lot of the CSGO tournaments and a lot of the major events for CSGO take place on both these, now owned by this group. I think the biggest question here, guys, and at least for me, we've seen a lot of big female initiatives being made in esports, and especially in CSGO and on these platforms. When we look at the Saudi Arabian government, females over there are treated at a very different level from what we see in a lot of other areas of the world. That, to me, is the biggest concern. When we look at some of these other investments they've made, they haven't been super hands-on with them, so I feel a little bit more comfortable, but I think the anxiety and hesitation behind just knowing the government's overall thoughts versus the stuff they're investing in is kind of a little bit tilted from one another in a sense.
You know, if I think about it, this like jokes aside and stuff like that, because obviously the main joke as the owner, everyone's been making memes saying I am esports in Saudi Arabian language, and I was thinking like, okay, let's chill it back and stuff. I think it's a good chance for us to see where it goes, because because it's a huge purchase, because like buying the Electronic Sports League is just wowzers. Aren't they out of curiosity and same time refresh my memory, aren't they also responsible for running Counter-Strike and Rocket League tournaments, especially also for the fighting game scenes as well, such as how should I say, Mortal Kombat, for example? I could have sworn I couldn't saw the ESL running that running those games.
It's tough because the ESL is involved in so many different things. Like, I don't think they exclusively run either one of those, but they've definitely done events for a number of other titles as well.
Yeah, I could have sworn, because like with all these tournaments and stuff like that. See, obviously we also have upcoming tournaments for like Valorant, and of course DreamHack, which hopefully is still going to happen, but I don't know what's going to happen now because of the pandemic and such. It's huge. Oh yeah, they run of course the PUBG tournaments and stuff. I mean, for pro players, who knows? Maybe they'll see a bigger paycheck. For the public, maybe some at least shed a light for those who don't know much about esports. That's great. However, for behind the scenes, I hope you're right, Joey, and I completely agree with you. Equality, meaning like everyone's being treated the same, being treated fairly to help run this business, because I really don't want something being purchased at a high price, then all of a sudden the stocks and the respect go way down and such, if that makes sense. So it's one of those, again, wait and see moments, just like the Apple console.
Go ahead, John. Any thoughts on this acquisition here of ESL and Faceit?
I'm going to try to be quick as possible with this.
Okay.
I don't like it. And I don't like it for the same reason I didn't like the LEC having that deal with Neom that fell through, and rightfully so. I do not like the idea of a government funding an organization or whatever when that government has a history of human rights violations, not just against women, but against the LGBTQ plus community, against anyone who has a different opinion than what they hold true in their society. And I think anyone who sits here and thinks that ESL is not going to be affected and Faceit will not be affected by this acquisition, that, you know, this is just a funding round to help fund this organization to the new heights. Anyone who thinks that, I would like to direct them to when Tencent acquired Riot Games. Take a look at what happened over that next year, the next 12 months after that occurred. in China, there's certain graphics that weren't allowed to be used in League of Legends. There's certain characters that got animation and graphic overhauls client-wide throughout the world because of rules and regulations in China. Yes, this is on a lot smaller scale than human rights violations in Saudi Arabia, but nonetheless, that was the influence that happened on to Riot and to League of Legends. There is no reason that anyone should not expect that kind of influence in this merger for ESL and FACEIT. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that the Saudi Arabian government thinks just because they have money, they can throw it at any business in the world and expect people to be okay with their archaic treatment of women and the LGBTQ community. It's absolutely atrocious. Obviously, I don't think anything is going to change, and I don't like it at all. I think the gaming community is one of the more inclusive communities in the world, where people can be who they are. They can play games and play characters that represent who they are, who they identify with. And then something like this happens, it's a smack in the face to gamers. It's a smack in the face to human beings. That's my issue with anything the Saudi Arabia government funds in esports, because it is literally saying, you know what, we want to get involved because we see money, but at the same time, we're not going to acknowledge women's rights and we're not going to acknowledge the rights of the LGBTQ plus community. That drives me up a freaking wall. I hate this deal. And I honestly have zero desire to watch anything with the ESL or FACEIT going forward. And I think people should be rightfully upset. My 2 cents. Sorry.
Bad. I feel bad just giving my answer, thinking about the business side when I didn't think about the human.
No, you're completely fine giving the business side, Greg, because there's always multiple sides to that story, which is why, like, if completely transparent, if you took that other side, I would have taken the business side. So it's completely fine. There's always multiple sides to every story. So please, by all means, don't feel bad. You presented a very good side of this story, so it's not a bad thing.
As I didn't know that half, because again, I knew about this in the news and I didn't know about that other half, obviously, because I was like, oh geez, hearing this from Jon, I'm just thinking about like, okay, the game community is going to flip out if someone makes a mistake, and that's going to happen so badly and quickly. And I mean, look what happened. Did we not learn from Activision and the Blizzard issues and stuff? See, now I'm thinking,
great example.
Oh boy, see, people flip the switch. We know a lot. We know good friends who stopped playing Overwatch and Hearthstone in general and stuff like that because of that. And oh man, just thinking about this now, Jon, like I'm shivers down my spine now. Like one mishap, like a domino. Like if one piece falls, it's just gonna be like a wildfire from there. And they better prepare themselves. It's gonna be bad. So, Joey.
Yeah, it's definitely one we're going to have to keep an eye on. And I agree with both points. I mean, Greg, I think you hit the business side very well, like Jon was saying. And that is a huge aspect to it. If any big amount of money, we're talking billions of dollars here, you have to look at the business side. What does it mean? But then Jon also looking at the human rights side. And kind of, I alluded to that at the beginning as well. That's a big major point that a lot of people are bringing up, especially women. I mean, we look at how CSGO has continued to see more and more women's teams get picked up, more and more females jumping into esports. And there's still issues already just in game chat in different games, whether it be Valorant, Halo, whatever. But then even on the pro scene level, the funding pools are not quite as big. And part of that comes down to viewership, but it's starting to get better and better for the female teams. In the end, a move like this seems like you've taken steps forward and now you're taking 2 steps back as well. So we'll have to see how it continues to develop. But like Jon said, I'm not super optimistic about how that part continues to develop with this new ownership group at all. With that being said, we'll keep an eye on that. We'll bring you updates as we get more information, but we're going to slide into our last bit today. And Greg, I know you're not as seasoned when it comes to League of Legends, but we do just want to hit on a few things to the League of Legends esports scene because that is one of the biggest scenes out there. So we're going to talk just quickly on the European scene and then the North American scene, just going through the standings and giving a quick match to watch for each of those, and then wrap up today's show. Over in the LEC in Europe, in the standings in first place, stealing win after win. That is Rogue at 5-0. Right below them, my boys Fnatic also at 5-0. The Lions continuing to roar down in third at 3-2. G2 Esports, a shadow of their former selves, but showing some nice glimpses of the Samurai at 3-2. Misfits 3-2 as well. Down a little bit lower. Excel not quite excelling at 2-3. Team Vitality showing some vitals after last week, pulling in 2 wins, sitting at 2-3. SK Gaming at 1-4. Team BDS, the newcomer to the league, at 1-4. And then Astralis currently sitting with the goose egg down in bottom at 0-5. That brings us to the matches on this week's slate, John, and there are quite a few spicy ones. The LEC has come out and said their match of the week is going to be on Saturday, January 29th, and that is the final match of the day, 3 p.m. Eastern time between Fnatic and G2. I'm going to say I love me some Fnatic, but that is not the match to watch. The match of the week, in fact, is tomorrow night, January 28th, 3 p.m. Eastern time between Rogue and Fnatic. G2 and Fnatic have a lot of history as organizations on that Saturday matchup. But when it comes down to it, I think the Fnatic roster is a lot better than the current G2 roster. And while there will be back and forth because the matches between both are always a clown fiesta, how can you pass up the 5-0 versus 5-0 teams there on Friday? Rogue and Fnatic, for me, is the match to watch this week in the LEC.
It has to be Rogue and Fnatic. Like, I get it. G2 and Fnatic is your sexy historical matchup. It's kind of like TSM and Cloud9. But when it's not really a competition, is it still really a rivalry? Is it still really a competition? That's a question that I'll let you viewers and listeners at home make a decision for yourself. But Joey, I agree with you 100%. Rogue and Fnatic.
Absolutely. And then over to the mess that is North American League of Legends, where we've decided to delay the season a full month so we can have this lock-in tournament that means absolutely nothing except for a little cash in the players' pockets. Looking at this one, we are now into the semifinals. It is Team Dignitas versus Team Liquid in the first semifinal matchup. And then over to the second one, it is going to be the Evil Geniuses, who have been plotting for a while, plotted their way to a 2-0 win over the Golden Guardians just to face the big boys in Cloud9. One thing to note here, these are not full rosters for a lot of these teams. Because the LCS decided to do this roster thing, this lock-in tournament, a lot of players are still working out visa deals for players, for coaches, back and forth between the organizations. In the end, Cloud9 is not fielding their full roster, and same with a few of these other organizations. But we still have matches ahead. Dignitas, Team Liquid, John, who is going to win, and what is the series score?
It's a great question. Who's going to play? Well, what version of each team is going to be there? On paper, Team Liquid, even with their academy team, is still performing incredibly well. Granted, they did go up against Huggatree FlyQuest, and they disposed of them. Pardon me, they recycled them 2-0 in that series. I think Liquid takes this as well. I think it might be a 2-1.
Yeah, I'm thinking 2-1 as well. Dignitas with a big surprise upset over 100 Thieves in the quarterfinals, winning that one 2-0. But as you said, Team Liquid, FlyQuest was busy planting trees and also taking L's. 2-0 going in Liquid's favor there. So I'll go 2-1 Team Liquid as well to advance to the finals. Over to the other semifinal match. And Greg, feel free to hop in. I don't know how much League of Legends you do know over there. We'll go to you for the next prediction, just because. You've heard of these organizations before, yes. Evil Geniuses and Cloud9. Knowing very little about professional League of Legends, Greg, who takes this series in a best of 3?
I'm guessing I'm definitely going to go for, if I look at your rankings and stuff like that for Evil Genius and Cloud9, I think definitely Evil Geniuses 2-1, because they're definitely going to, Cloud9 is definitely going to give Evil Geniuses a run for their money. I'll just say that for sure. And I'm just surprised at 100 Thieves, because they were the favorites of last season and stuff like that. And what happened? That's just surprising that those just crushed them like that. Jeez, 2-0. Wow. But yeah, Cloud9. I mean, Evil Geniuses 2-1. So
I think it's a great prediction. I mean, Cloud9's got some nobody playing ADC called Sven. Never heard of him. I've never heard of the guy. He plays on an academy roster. I've never heard of this guy whatsoever. Of course, and then like who in the world's playing in top lane? Fudge is a mid laner in this whole thing. He's playing out of position. No. Who's the top laner? I don't even know. I mean, Blabber. I mean, of course, he is the starting jungler at least. Cloud9 takes it 2-1. I think they'll drop one game to Evil Geniuses, but hopefully that kid Sven steps up. I've never seen him before.
Gotcha. Just a quick update. These are best of 5, actually, guys. So we have been predicting wrong. So, John, back to you. Team Liquid and Dignitas, we both took them 2-1. I think I'll go 3-1 Liquid. 3-1. Maybe even 3-2. I'll go 3-2. I'll give Dignitas
not the benefit of the doubt. Games.
I'll go 3-2. Just because Dignitas showed up against the 100 Thieves, so I will go 3-2. Are you going to go 3-1 Team Liquid then?
I'm going 3-1 Team Liquid.
Okay, and then over to Cloud9 Evil Geniuses. So, Greg, you gave Evil Geniuses the nod. Do you take them with one more win, or do you think it goes to a best of 5?
3-2. I at least best of 5 because again, Cloud9, let's see if they'll give Evil Geniuses a run for their money. From what I see from the starting roster, just looking at the Liquipedia, here's hoping. Again, like, I don't follow League of Legends, forgive me, but I'll definitely tune in for this. Why not? Sure.
Forgive him, Jack. Forgive him, Jack, for he not know what he do.
Oh my God.
Cloud9 3-1 over Evil Genius.
I'm going to go Cloud9 3-1 as well in that one. So if it ends up happening, we'll have quite a few matches to look forward to there in the finals. Again, John taking Team Liquid and Cloud9. I'm taking Team Liquid and Cloud9. And Greg over here. Dignitas or Team Liquid, Greg? Give me a team.
Team Liquid.
Team Liquid and Evil Geniuses will be over there in Greg's finals. So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, LCS and LEC action this weekend. LEC kicking off tomorrow night. LCS just a little bit later on Saturday. And both running through the weekend with some great action ahead. Last but not least, upcoming this week launches Pokemon. The new Pokemon Legends Arceus launches tomorrow for those interested on the Nintendo Switch. You guys can check that out. A couple pre-order bonuses out there. We actually just put an article out today. If you played previous Pokemon games or been invested in that ecosystem before, there could be some little bonuses you can unlock in the new game as well. So go ahead and check that out. Again, otnmedia.org is where that article is posted, but also on social media, which John will take us right into our closing now.
All right. So first, before we go into Joey, like, Greg, do you want to stick around and have your attempt at saying level up with Joey and myself at the end?
Of course.
No, you two got it.
Oh, no, come on, Greg. You're sticking around.
Show.
You're sticking around then. If it's our show, you're sticking around. I mean, look, I can't stop. The music has already started playing. Nation, that will do it for this edition of Level Up Live. But before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you'll get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they are a part of OTN Media. If you have not already done so, make sure you follow the show here on Twitch to catch the next episode of Level Up Live. If you listen to the show on our podcast feed, please do leave us a review. LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, and anywhere else you can find a podcast RSS feed. Just look us up. We would love to hear from you. In fact, we love to hear from our community so much. There are multiple ways you can do it. Joey, what are some of those ways?
Absolutely. Level Up Nation, OTN Media community. Head on over to Twitter and find us at Level Up Live. That is LvLUp Live. In addition to that, you can follow the umbrella company OTN Media on Twitter and Facebook at OTN Media and on Instagram at OTN_media. Last but not least, we also stream on Twitch. This show Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as well as a number of other streams throughout the week. And sometimes we guest over on the Remixes stream as well, playing some Halo and such. You can check that out, twitch.tv/OTN Media for us.
All right, and a big thank you again to Greg of the Lunchbox Publications, aka The Remix, switching things up here on Level Up Live. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter at The Remix. Make sure you follow his company at the Lunchbox Publications, Lunchbox Pub on Twitch as well. So definitely, and Twitter and Twitch and Twitter. There, just follow both of them. If you don't do it, you're doing it wrong then. Simple as that. Make sure you tune in next Thursday, February 3rd, as we cover the latest and greatest in gaming and esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor. Hit that sub and follow button to know when the next episode of Level Up Live is ready for your entertainment pleasures. We'll catch you all next week. Have a fantastic weekend. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online. And Greg, are you ready for this part?
Yes.
Okay, no, it's going to go. And as always, brief, awkward pause. Level up. Okay, you ready? Here we go. And as always,
level up.